Hi, my name is Nicolette Marshall, and I'm going to be talking to you today about the different factors of the work environment and how they affect the different hours that people work during the week. First off, let's go on into a little bit of a background. Depending on life factors, I want to talk about if they affect the amount of work that people do during the week, like how many hours a week does each person work. I want to focus on three different factors. First off, the first factor is going to be race. We all know that everyone has different opinions on who works more, when they work, where they work. We all know that. Also, I want to focus on the factor of gender. Everyone also has different opinions on if girls work more or if guys work more. And I also want to focus on marital status. Marital status has a lot to do with different work backgrounds and who works more and who works less. So I want to dig deeper and find out if all these assumptions that people make about these three factors are true or not. Studies in the past have shown that these three factors do play a huge role in the different amount of hours that people work during the week. The main one that I've seen a lot is race. And I want to get into the fact, is race actually the highest factor that determines who works more during the week and who doesn't. So one of my research questions is the amount of hours worked per week by a person affected by their gender, race, and or marital status. And also another question I have is there only one factor that stands out from the other two? In my research, I have seen many different views on all of these different points about race being the highest factor of who works more. And I've also seen articles that the gender plays a bigger role in that. But after all my research, I made a hypothesis about what I actually feel about, and I'm going to do a research to see if it actually is true or not. So my hypothesis is if the amount of hours per week is recorded with the different variables of race, gender, and marital status, then the amount of hours worked will fluctuate with different races, genders, and people that are married or not married. So I believe that these three factors do have a major role in who works more and who works less. So with my research, I made a survey and I handed it out to family, friends, and people around campus, and I asked them what their race was, their gender, married or single, and how many hours they work during the week and where they work. I know that the where they work doesn't really matter. Some people think it does matter, but I wanted to put an extra element in there to see if the where they worked was going to be a factor of how many hours they worked as well. So what I basically did was I handed them the survey and I had them fill it out. No names were involved in this, so it's all anonymous. And then with those surveys, it was going to help me determine what gender works more during the week, what race works more during the week, and also if you're married or single, which one of those work more during the week as well. And the control that I'm using is the average amount of hours per week that someone works in the United States. I know that full-time is considered 40 hours, but there's a lot of people that work way more than 40 hours, and there's a lot of people that work way less than 40 hours. So I was going to use that as my control and to determine if these factors do have an effect. So after my research and after I got all the data back in, I came up with three different results depending on the gender, race, and marital status. So with my results, it came out that females actually work more hours during the week than males do. And then with the marital status, many married people work a lot more than single people. Married people were way up there, but the next one was single, so like they were really close into where, like who worked more during the week and who didn't. Also, it came to my conclusion that the white race worked way more hours during the week than any other race. And that result actually surprised me, because with every other research that I've done, with every other surveys that I've read and everything, that it seemed that the Black population worked a lot more than whites. And with this research, and also with the GSS, it showed that whites work a lot more. And I know that's going to bring up a lot of controversial issues, and that's why it did surprise me. And so basically with my results, it did show that females who are married and who are white are going to be the ones that work the most hours during the week. Now, after I got to this conclusion, I don't know if I actually believe in everything that I did get, but every study is going to be different. So according to the data that I found, race, gender, and marital status have a major effect on the amount of hours worked per week by an individual. And the one factor that stuck out the most was definitely the white race, and because they had the majority of the work hours per week. The conclusion of this experiment is that no matter what a person says, there are factors out in this world that will affect everyone in the workforce. It doesn't matter what your race is, your gender, your marital status. Everyone's going to have different hours that they work per week. But no matter what factors affect you, everyone should be continuing to build how many hours that they work per week and continuing to work more, and not just leaving it on one person. But after this research, I actually thought of another variable that I actually would like to research more about, and it has to deal with households with kids, because I know that kids determine a lot of when parents can work, when they can't work. Like, they're a major factor in the workforce. So I think that my next step in this research is definitely going to be to look up and survey more people about how many kids they have and how many hours per week they work with the kids in the household and who takes care of them. Like, I want to further more on this research.